Keep praying with me. And we letting everybody know we got a dream. Yo, stay focused. Keep moving forward. It's on the way. Keep that dream alive. If you got a dream, don't look to the left, nor the right. Let's go.
Your fate is in Jesus. Completion is here before you even begin. Dreaming big of my life in the future. Already knowing that it's not far. Having the passion to work towards Jesus. I'm gonna keep my faith and swagger going hard. Don't turn right. Just push straight. You don't have to fear more.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show. I am your host, Yolanda, and I am so excited about our show tonight. We have not one, but two very special guests that will be on the show tonight, and they are going to be coming to bring it. Look, if you ain't ready, you better get ready because we're going to have a powerful show for you tonight. If you are someone who has experienced an identity crisis in your life, well, guess what? These special guests are about to talk about that themselves, about what they experience, and then how you can actually come back from experiencing such a time like that in your life. So again, share this broadcast, tag a friend, tag a family member, let them know that the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show is about to go down, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show, where you will hear stories from people who have experienced hell on earth and have walked past hell to share their stories. You will also hear what they are doing now and how their businesses, nonprofits, and ministries were birthed from their past trauma. So let's empower the world, one story at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Yolanda Jerry.
And welcome back. I'm back. So guess what? Tonight's show, we have two. I didn't say one. I said we have two special guests tonight that are about to blow the roof off of this show. So let me go on and tell you a little bit about who these individuals are. The first one is Pastor Frank Henderson. And Frank Henderson is a man of many talents and skills. He was raised in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, where he was heavily influenced by the leaders of his city and allowed to hone his singing and preaching skills there under the leadership of Bishop R.E.A.L McCarter and the Morning Star Church of Christ family. Growing up without a father figure in the home was extremely hard on him. Because of it, he developed a steely resolve to always count on himself in every situation. At the age of 15, in the summer of 1982, Frank gave his life to Christ, and it began a journey of self-discovery as he began to be awakened to the things he was born to do from heaven's point of view. Starting out as a songwriter and singer, Frank began to figure out exactly more about why he was put here on earth. Ultimately, it all led him becoming a church planter. Over the last 20 years, Frank has planted churches in cities across North Carolina. He will be planting his last church in March of 2022 in the town where it all began for him in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Frank has always been bivocational and supported himself and his family through his work and as a financial professional with some of the leading financial companies in America. So that's our first guest for tonight, Pastor Frank Henderson. Next, we have none other than Elder Lee Wright. Elder Lee Wright is a retired Air Force combat wounded terrorist attack survivor motivational speaker, author, and entrepreneur. He initially answered his call into ministry in 1992 at the age of 20 and preached his trial sermon on his 21st birthday in the Air Force Chapel in Korea. Throughout his life, Elder Wright has served not only in the role of a minister, but also in music ministry as a church choir member and director. Over the next 9 years, he received training and instruction from all the Air Force chaplains and pastors that God brought into his life. He was ordained as an elder by the Church of God in Christ in August 2003 by Bishop W. Charles Green in Clovis, New Mexico. He believes in the living word of God. That means all 66 books. For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation. For those who think living a saved life is easy, he's here to tell you that it's not, but it is sure worth it. His current assignment has him serving as an elder with Epic Fellowship Church under the leadership of Pastor Frank Henderson. Epic means empowering people in Christ. Rather than writing a list of accolades, he prefers to reference John 1:23. He said, I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord. He impacts the world with his powerful, relevant, and relatable messages on truth, healing, finance, and empowering growth. Now, if that's not a bio for you, I don't know what is. So, without further ado, I am going to bring on our guest for tonight's show, Pastor Henderson and also Elder Wright. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show.
What's up?
How y'all doing?
Doing great.
We're
How
good.
you doing, Elder Wright?
We're good. We're good.
All right. I hope y'all ready because it's time to get this show going and time to get it popping. Are y'all ready?
Ready.
Let's do this.
So for those of you that are just tuning in, welcome to the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show. I'm your host, Yolanda. We have special guest, Pastor Frank Henderson, and also Elder Lee Wright, who are the leaders of Epic Fellowship Church. And tonight we are going to be talking about identity crisis. Now, Pastor Henderson and Elder Wright, I know that you all started this topic not too long ago and talked about this at your Sunday fellowship. And so it was something that I was like, no, this has to keep going. We need to keep talking about this. And so with that being said, I want to ask the question, since this topic was so heavily on Elder Wright's, brain, why do you feel this particular topic was something that needed to be talked about, Elder Wright?
I think identity crisis is very important because first of all, we got to know who we are. And if you don't understand who you are, then truthfully, you can get pulled in so many directions. You're not able to focus in on what God truly has for you to do because you don't know who you are. You don't know what your identity is. And as you mentioned, it became part of what I talked about at our Sunday service. And for me, when I was given this by the Lord, it was dealing particularly with men, because a lot of times we as men, if we have a lost identity, and if as men that are supposed to be leaders, if we can't identify who we are or whose we are, then we're lost.
Wow. I'm glad you're talking about this because, a lot of times we as women, sometimes we lose our identity as well. We forget who we are because of the things that we have gone through in life. And very rarely do you hear men talking about, I lost myself. You hear women have those conversations amongst each other all the time, but you don't have many men that will admit and also say, yes, I lost myself at some point in my life. So what about you, Pastor Henderson? Why is this topic so important?
I think this topic is important because without having this settled, forever settled in your head, in your heart, you'll never feel like you got the right shoe on or the right suit on or the right dress on or the right accessories on. You know how when you put on that right shoe and it just feels good, or that jacket just hit your shoulders right, or the, you know, or the dress fits the woman perfectly. That's what identity crisis is like. You know, we see a lot of people always pulling and tugging and doing all of this stuff and walking funny because the shoes too tight and all this kind of stuff. But if you ever put on what's yours, if you ever really find out who you are, you can go through this life so comfortable in the anointing of who you are. You're ready to do anything. You can stand as long as it takes. You can sit as long as it takes. You can run as long as it takes, because identity is just that crucial in our lives.
Wow, I'm glad you made that point. I mean, identity is important in knowing who you are and whose you are. So, since we're talking about this topic tonight, um, Pastor Henderson and Elder Wright, can you both share at a point in your life where you did lose your identity, and um, how what caused you to lose your identity?
I'll let the man that started the whole party take that one, and I'll come behind you, brother.
Oh, wow. Identity for me, I'll just say that growing up in a single parent home, where my father was not really there. You know, when I was a youngster, it's one of those things. He was there, but he wasn't there. You know, and then at a point, my mother and my father got divorced, and so it was kind of a back and forth for a bit. So it's one of those things for me personally, that I had my father for an example, but for a lot of things, it was the wrong example. And so I had to come to a place where I could try to figure out who I was and who I was supposed to be. And it took a while. It took a while, you know, especially for, you know, my mother. I love her. She did a phenomenal job raising me, and you know, I give her all the credit in the world. But mothers can't teach what fathers need to teach. You know, fathers teach their lessons, mothers teach their lessons. It's a fact. And if the father is missing from the family unit, then it can become difficult on the children. That's why some children just really get out there because they don't have that male influence. And so I'm thankful that I never was really out there, but then my out there may be different from everybody else's. So I had to come to a place where I had to find my identity. And I really can honestly say that I didn't find it until my late teens, early 20s. So it took me a while to initially figure out who I was and what I was supposed to be doing in this life.
Wow. It's powerful. For myself, I grew up in a single parent household too. I had a mom that was working, you know, like most moms today, they're working hard to make sure there's some food on the table, you know, in single parent households where the children are with the mother. And even when children are with the father, you know, it's just a single parent household. He's probably working really hard just to make sure, you know, like Shaq say, to put that food on the table, you know. So I sit there and I think about it. My whole situation is one that I think everybody can identify with, in that I knew my mother loved me just by the things I saw her do. You know, like I didn't have money for clothes. I didn't have money for shoes. I didn't have the things I needed, but I ate every day. I was dressed every day. I knew my mother would do anything in her power to make sure that we had what we needed, and that her way of loving us was there. But I think the thing that, as Elder Lee said, the thing that jacked me up was mothers love us, but fathers tell us who we are. And, you know, and so if you're a young man or a young woman coming up without that type of speaking into your life, then you struggle. And I think most of America today struggles. We struggle all around the world, actually, because we haven't had anybody to really tell us who we are. That's why you even see church folks running all over the world looking for a father figure. They calling everybody daddy, bishop. You know, they doing everything they can because they want somebody to tell them who they are. And I think the only way you really get there is through a relationship with God. The same way when John baptized Christ, God spoke and said, "This is my son." He told him who he was. So when they came to get him in the garden, they said, "Are you the Christ?" And I am he. It's me you're looking for, because his father had told him who it was. So me coming up without that, next thing I was a treasure boy. I was out in them streets. I was just wilding out, doing what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it. I didn't care what my mother said. I didn't care what nobody said. And that's why I felt like the summer of 82 started the process. But Yogi, Dr. Yolanda, I was 30 something years old before I really began to find out who I am and what I was here to do and what God had for my life, to really just kind of intersect with what he wanted me to be, and his will imposed on my life in a way that I could receive it and embrace it. Because if you grow up without that identity, anything that comes and tries to tell you anything, you fight it so hard. You have to meet a greater power than you that causes you to yield and resign to the truth of who we are. And we walk around a lot and we say a lot of stuff, but most of the people that's doing a lot of screaming and hollering have no idea why they are screaming and hollering. And the reason it is because they don't know who they are. When you know who you are, you're like a Rottweiler. You'll sit on the porch and you just look at people. You ain't gonna bark like a Chihuahua. You just that Rottweiler will look at you, but he's saying to you, if you come on this porch, I will destroy you. And that's what it is. It goes down that way for me. That's what happened to me.
I'm glad that both of you all mentioned that, and touched on the fact that you had an absent father, or like Elder Lee said, he was there and he was not there, and for you, Pastor Henderson, your father was just not there. And then you said that you feel to believe that, caused issues, I should say, when it came to you growing up and knowing, who you are. I will say this, coming from a place of knowing that I had both of my parents, my mother and my father, until my dad left this world. Both their roles are different, and both of their roles are important in raising children. That's why I say it's so important, even if the parents don't, they do divorce, co-parenting is so important, because there's things that a mother can do for the children that the father can't do, and vice versa. Like the mother, she's a nurturer, she's the one that, is more on the gentle side of things, whereas the father is more of that, look, this is how you handle yourself if you face with this and this, and so I believe that when that is broken and you only have one person raising the child, then it's like you have the mother or the father trying to be both parents, but really they can't be, because it's not how they're built. That's not how God built us. He gave us different capabilities for a reason. I mean, the woman was taken from the man for that reason, because there's certain things that a man can do, again, that a woman can't do, and vice versa.
Right.
So let me ask both of you all this question. How do you feel that played a role? Because I know both of you are very involved in your children's lives, right? How do you think that played a role with you being a father to your children?
Pastor Frank, I'm gonna let you take that one first.
Well, the way it impacted me was that I never wanted my kids to feel what I felt. Like the way I felt growing up, I felt a lot of darkness and hopelessness. I didn't understand at that time that I was going to grow up and be greater later. I was just stuck in the now, and it was crazy. So, once I had my first son, I wanted to be everything I could be to him. And then, as I matured more and more, I began to see that I wasn't going to be able to live up to what I thought I needed to be, just to kind of be better than my father. I started seeing that I wasn't going to be able to do that, and I couldn't do those things. I could be greater. I could be a little bit better. I could be more present. But fathering to me is a really and it's funny because being called to preach and pastor and stuff, you're kind of like a father figure to a lot of people, especially the younger people. And I didn't know it was going to hurt me so much to give people what I never had and to be there for people in ways that no one was there for me. And, so what I try to do, and even now, is just be there. Because as my kids have aged, my youngest is 19, my oldest is 36. So as they've aged, they grow and go. They don't need you as much. So being a father to me has been the greatest thing ever because it grounds you. But it's a painful thing if you grow up without one. Because it's almost as if my father left me. I do my best with my kids grow and go too. So you feel that. You know what I mean? And you have to find a way to, in your walk with God and in your therapy and in your relationships, you have to find a way to get that salve that you need and that love that you need in those relationships that you need. Because I feel like I'll always walk with a little bit of a limp because of it. And I'll always be very compassionate towards people that are without fathers and try to be as much of a father figure as I can. But it's not a task that I'm like, oh, I get to, you know what I mean? It's really like, I get that. I get an 8. I get a little 8 with it too. And, it's just my process of healing, but it hasn't been the easiest thing for me because, sometimes I feel like people don't even understand, what that does to the soul of a young man or a young woman when the person that is on the earth by God, anointed by God, to speak into your life and to give you inheritance and begin to say, this is what Hendersons do. This is how Hendersons carry themselves. You don't have that person in your life. And so you're searching and you're looking and you're looking and you're searching. And I think that's why when I met Bishop R.T. McCarter, I was like blown away. It was like, one, I'm saved now. So I'm born again. I got some light flowing in my life and heart. And then I see him and I'm like, I was just really drawn to him. I mean, even just down to the way he ate, down to the way he prayed, down to the way he preached, down to the way he taught, down to the way he greeted people. I was just sucking it up like a sponge because I grew up without it. And so it's a funny thing. It helps me, to make sure I carry myself right as well. But just to answer that question, it's really impacted me in my life, not having a father, and it has impacted how I father. And now, there are even things I don't say to my kids because I don't want to be rejected by them. See what I'm saying? So it's like it works on you. So just being honest about it. But it's the greatest thing in the world to hold a baby, and it's also the toughest thing in the world to see that baby walk away. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah.
Whew. Well, thanks for sharing, because again, there are some people who are watching right now that have experienced the same thing. Valerie mentioned, she said it was tough for her, very painful for her growing up without a father. Wow. So same question for you, Elder Wright. But before we go into you answering that question, I'm going to go to a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
That commercial was nasty.
And today's show is sponsored by GoFig Company. They do great things, automation, websites, graphics, you name it. Look, that is also the same company that keeps me out there being visible when it comes to my website, my graphics, my automation. So if you look for a company to make sure you stay squared away, GoFig Company is one I highly recommend. And they are also sponsor of my show. So why not put them out there? So If you need someone like that company, you can go to www.gofig, which is GEAUXFIG.com. Again, that website is www.gofig.com.
Wow.
All right. So back to you, Elder Wright. Same question that Frank Henderson had.
Wow. Y'all forgive me because I'm gonna try not to get emotional in my answer. Because first of all, I have three amazing children, 18 in college, and then I got two here at home with me that are 10 and 5, two girls and a boy. Love my children dearly. But I can honestly say with my first daughter, because things did not work out between her mother and I, though in my mind, I said I wasn't going to be the same dad that my father was. You know, in full transparency, I found myself to be that same dad that my father was. So because things didn't work out between me and her mother, you know, I wasn't there as much as I should have been. And that's something that I own. You know, I own my part in that.
Yeah.
You know, just because things didn't work out between her mother and I should not have affected our relationship. And so, though, and I can say now, you know, she's a college student, straight A's, scholarship, riding it, doing her thing. And we have a great relationship now. We talk, you know, we call each other, we text each other. Hey, baby, how you doing? You need anything? You know, daddy got you, you know. But that those first years, when initially that happened, like I said, I know I wasn't there, and that hurt me to my core. And so again, I have to own that responsibility. And this is look, I'm being real. This is coming from Elder Lee Wright, not just Lee Wright. I mean, I'm preaching the gospel and still got issues in my house because I'm not doing the things I'm supposed to do as a father. So like I said, I had to own that responsibility. And so when it came to my second two, my two babies that I got, I knew that I said, I can't do this again. You know, I can't put them through what I put my oldest through.
Come on, man.
You know, and so I said I had to own that, and I had to put my foot down. I said, look, I'm gonna be here for my babies. You know, regardless of whatever the judge say in the matter. Look, I'm gonna be here for my babies. You know, and like I said, they are my joy, they're my heart, and they are. You know, sometimes I like to say they are my why. You know, so when I get up every day and I put my my feet on the floor. You know, my babies are my why. You know, that's why I do what I do. That's why I work so hard. That's why I pray for them to keep them covered. But yeah, and I had to shift my thinking. You know, I had to shift my thinking because, like I said, I didn't want these last two to experience the things that my oldest did. You know, so I said, you know what, I got to do it better. You know, and God, you're gonna have to help me do better because it's real. You know, they didn't ask to come here. You know. We as grown folk, we got together and had children, so they shouldn't have to suffer over the things that happened. So yeah, I own it.
Wow. I mean, that's first of all, that's powerful what you just said, just even in your story about how you were just like your dad, with your first child, but then recognize that, you know what, I can't do this with my other two children. And now on top of that, you have that relationship with your oldest, which is powerful because, sometimes you have children, they go on forever without having their father in their life, or they go on forever without their mother in their life, and they desire that. And the sad part about it is when the parent is absent from the child, they don't realize a lot of pain, a lot of hurt that they're causing in their children, and how that will filter into their adult life and how it affects how they interact with other adults or how they interact with the men. Because truth be told, is like, if a child, I'll say a female, just from the people that I've had experiences in talking with, who have had absent fathers, they looking for this man to fill that void or to be like they dad, or you know, looking for someone to be like, you know what, my daddy's not here. So they latch on to that person who they want to be with because that void was there all their life.
Mm.
You know, and so they'll end up in, you know, wrong relationships, abusive relationships, you know, because there was no father to tell them, hey, abuse is not right. You know, there was no father to tell them, hey, being over sexualized is not right. You know, this is how a man should treat a woman. You know, there was no father there to tell them that. So when they see these things happening, they think that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
They think that's the way they're supposed to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And so I appreciate you sharing, you know, how, you know, you realize one point you were like your father, but then you were like, no, I don't want to be like that. You know, I need to make sure that I'm in all of my children's lives, you know, and it's never too late. I want to tell people this. It's never too late,
Right.
you know, to build that relationship. I don't care how many years have gone by. It's never too late to still try to have that relationship with your children.
That's right.
So let me ask you both this question. You know, knowing that your father really did heavily affect you, how much did it really affect you to the point to where did you ever reconcile? Did you ever have that relationship with your father later on in life? You know, or, you know, if not, how do you deal with that today? It's getting hot in here.
Cut the
arrow. You want this one, Pastor, or are you gonna put me out front? Which one?
You started. I'll finish it, man.
Wow,
Make sure you throw it above the rim, though. My heart thinks what they used to be.
I'm gonna try to throw you an alley-oop.
Okay.
Yeah. So for far as me, my father and I, fortunately, we did get a chance to reconcile. We got a chance to spend some time together quite often. Unfortunately, the Lord did call my dad home in January of this year. But I did get a chance to talk with him and share with him and just see, you know, the growth even in him. You know, I was, you know, his only child. And so that right there in itself is crazy because, you know, I'm the only one you got. And then we having this, you know, this strife between us, you know, in our adult years. You know, and this is the one thing that I can say I truly thank my mother for, because even in spite of the things that they went through, my mother always told me that I needed to base my relationship with my father on our relationship and not what happened between them. And so that was very key for me to understand. So the relationship that my father and I had, again, was rocky, but it was rocky because of things that went on between he and I. And so at the end of the day, as he got older and I got older and we both became more mature, we found a place of reconciliation where we were able to talk, you know, on a regular basis on the telephone. And then, like I said, God called him home in January of this year, but he was in a good place in his relationship with Christ, and I was in a great place with my relationship with him. So it made that easier for me, most definitely.
Yeah, that's a beautiful story, man. I love it. I love it, Elder Lee. It's a beautiful story. Oh my God.
My pastor, boy.
Hold on, man. Hold on.
My pastor.
My God. Jesus.
My pastor.
In my situation, it's funny because at first, when you're a little boy, you don't understand how your daddy can hurt your mama. Right. And then as you get a little older, and you get a little hair on your lip, you start understanding, you start saying, how could he be that way with us? we his seed. How can he be that way with us? Then you get a little more older and you bring the forgiveness and everything. But this is what I want to say. I feel like the 5 times I've been around my father in my life, 2 of them I remember really vivid, and a couple of them I was a little boy, so I don't remember everything. But I will say that around 2001, 2002, I went to see my dad. We hung out. We had a conversation up in D.C., Baltimore area. And, it was okay. I left there understanding, and this is what, maybe somebody ain't going to get this. I hope somebody do get this. I left his presence understanding that for my whole life, I thought he walked away from me. But really, God sent him away. Because who y'all see up here talking today, I wouldn't be up here talking today if I had been raised by him. What I longed for, I found out God was like, I'm not going to let him raise you that way. I got purpose for you. I'm going to send him on. Right? You might not like it that you're here with your mama by yourself, but I got you a good mama, a good foundation. And there'll be men that'll come in your life. You'll meet men. You'll meet different people that'll be, like when my mother and father forsake me, the Lord would take me up. He'll complete the work. He'll put somebody in your life. He'll be a mother to the motherless, father to the fatherless. And I saw that's what happened to me. And here's the thing. Even though I feel like my dad and I had a restoration, we had restoration in the sense that ain't nobody mad, full understanding of what was going on. This is the piece that I came to understand after his passing in 2004. If you as a father are never involved in your children's life, never speak to them and give them identity, you create this peace in them where they don't need you, where they don't long for you, where they don't want your wisdom, where they don't have that peace in them, like daddy, daddy, daddy. And I think growing up without him from day one, I didn't have that cord in me. I don't have that cord in me. And so it was like when he passed, it was like the guy 5 blocks away that I didn't know passed. But at the same time, I have so much in my heart because of my relationship with God. I have so much honor for him because I'm so much like him. I'm entrepreneur like him. I walk like him. I smile like him. People like me like they liked him and all of that. And just because, he made a turn or he made some decisions that didn't bode well for him, I still look at him and be like, what a hell of a man. What a guy, to put myself. When I look at my brothers and sisters, I'm like, we are all incredible for that. And I know that's a part of him too. And, my mother was there to make sure that she gave us her part as well and to keep it all grounded. But he gave us a lot. And so I honor him every day. I honor him. I have no pain, no hurt. I have no disdain, no dishonor in my heart for him. I'm like, God used that man to get me here. I thank God for him. You know what I'm saying? Rocky Mount, North Carolina in the building because of this guy. You know what I'm saying? Epic in the world because of this guy. You know what I mean? So I thank God for him. I wish I would have had more time, but I can say we got restored, but there's still that peace that'll never be there that you miss when you don't get things. And it's what it is. It's like tasting pumpkin pie and something ain't right. You know what I mean? But but you still got the pumpkin pie. You thank God for the shells and the sweetness, but you get, some of that sugar missing. You know what's up.
Thank you for sharing that. Because sometimes people don't, even when they feel like their parents are missing, they really truly don't understand that they're still a part of you, whether you want them to be a part of you or not. There are things about them that have been instilled in you, even though they weren't there.
Oh, yeah.
And there were things that they've shown you, even when they weren't there, which made you who you are today. So thank you.
Can I add one more piece, Dr. J?
Yeah, go ahead.
The piece I want to add is I have some half brothers and sisters. And, I even have a brother. I'm Franklin. He Frankie. You know what I'm saying? But this is what I've seen through my half sister Jewel and my half brother Damon, having conversations with them. I was able to somehow experience my father through them and see that everything I thought, the thoughts I had that just weren't right, they began to show me that, man, he had good pieces to him. He had loving pieces to him. And, you know, sometimes people we hear a story about a person and we just believe that that's the gorilla that they are. But my half brothers and sisters, just having conversation with them, they shown me that he's a hell of a man, had a lot of love in him. He couldn't get it together with my mama and us, but he had his journey and he got it together. And I told my sister, I thank God for you because you've shown me where I come from. It's blessed my life by her telling me, yeah, daddy helped me with my homework. Daddy picked me up from school. Daddy protected me. You know, I'm like, wow, I didn't even know he had that kind of stuff because I was walking home from the game by myself. You feel me? So it's like, I thank God for them because they showed me the other side and views of my father, that he just wasn't what was portrayed to me. So I thank God for them.
Ooh, powerful. I'm glad you shared that. You know, sometimes, you know, people feel like when a parent leaves, they're no good. But like you said earlier, sometimes God sends people away for a reason, you know, and that, you know, he sent them away because maybe that relationship with your mom was not the right fit. It wasn't he sent him away because of the children.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's important for people to understand that it's not the children why parents leave. It's always between the mother and the father at that time, or those two people at the time.
Right.
You know, because a lot of times you'll find kids questioning themselves, what did I do? You did nothing. That was between the mother and the father. You had absolutely nothing to do with that. But it makes it harder for the child to have to build that relationship or try to reach out and build that relationship. I say that because I have a daughter. You know, she still has those struggles here and there, you know, trying to build that relationship with her father. I thank God that she does have a relationship with her father now, but it took all of her growing up years until she became an adult for her to actually make that connection with her dad, that reconnection. So he missed so much in her life. And in those years, you can't get that stuff back. But you can start from where you are now, you know, and try to build memories from there, or try to build that relationship from there.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing that. So I'm going to go to another commercial break and we'll come back. And since we are talking about identity crisis, I want you to share, how do we find our identity? If we have lost our way, you know, we lost who we are. Well, how does an individual find their identity? And we'll be right back.
Okay. I need a mimosa right now. Got me all tender over here. What's up?
Oh my goodness, there's always a comedian in the house.
Yeah, who'd have thought?
Well, let me get it out. Today's show is sponsored by Mimosa Fest. Mimosa Fest is happening in May of 2022 in Texas. So if you want to know more information about things that's going on with that festival, you can go to www.mimosa-fest.com. Again, that website is www.mimosa-fest.com. All right, so let's get back into the question I asked before we went to the commercial break. How does a person find their identity? How do they get their identity once it's been lost?
Oh, you know what I mean?
How do you get that identity? How do you find yourself?
I agree with Paul, the apostle. We find ourselves in him. I think that the big pieces that where we're missing, the gapes and the holes in our identity and struggling to find that, I think we can only get that back through the Creator and through people he's put here to kind of walk us through the process, whether it be good friends, great brothers and sisters, therapists, teachers, pastors, co-workers. God uses all of these people to kind of help us get where we need to be and to help us in that area, because I think that most people today are just parakeets. They're just saying like, T. Jake said that. Let me say what Jake say. Or let me say what Osteen say. Let me say what this guy down the street said, or this female down here said, or I heard them at this conference say this. So we start just parakeeting. We don't have a language, but we parakeet what we hear. And we'll never really be who we are and say what we're supposed to say and put on the clothes we're supposed to put on until we got a good understanding of who we are. And that only comes from having the person that created you, having a relationship with the creator and saying, why did you create me? And why am I this way? And what am I supposed to be saying? I don't just want to be the parakeet that says Polly wants a cracker and good morning, all the things that somebody else that I'm hearing what they said. I want to be an individual that knows exactly who I am and what is my piece in the earth and what am I to say. But I think that only comes from God, because he's our creator. And if we really want to know the purpose of what an Acura vehicle can do, we got to go talk to Acura. We can't go talk to Nissan. And we can't go talk to, you know what I'm saying? We got to talk to Acura. Like, why you got these V-rated tires on this car? Why you got this 240 horsepower in this thing? Why not 4 doors instead of 2? They know why this wheelbase is this long instead of this short. They know why they created the car the way they did, and God knows why he created us the way he did. And we got to get our orders from headquarters and find out, who am I? And then once that's answered, we can go be and do all the things that we're called to be and do. Allie.
Well, let me go ahead and put this oop on down. Because Pastor, you hit it right on the head, man. We got to find our identity in Christ. And that's the only way we're going to do it. Far too many times. And here's the thing, far too many times we let the wrong people try to tell us what our identity is. People can tend to put you in a box. Mm-hmm. People try to categorize us a certain way, but it is when you begin to have that relationship with Christ that you really find out who your identity is. There are, and I'll give you a few examples that just came to the top of my head as you were talking. There are people in the Bible who God always had to change their name in order for them to find out who their identity is. He told, in the beginning, he told Abraham, your name's going to be Abraham, not Abram, and Sarai, you're going to be Sarah. So God has to change our names. And then also that people try to categorize you by your condition.
What you say?
Your condition. There are people in the Bible, they call them blind Bartimaeus. They couldn't just call him Bartimaeus. They labeled him by his condition. But you realize that after God gave him his sight, they couldn't call him blind Bartimaeus no more. Mm-hmm. So God has a way when he gets in you and he begins to make that change. Even with the woman with the issue of blood, we never really knew her name. We just know that Jesus did something in her.
That's right.
She ain't had that issue no more.
Right.
So when God gets in it and he changes you and changes your identity, and in fact gives you your identity, he tells you who you are. You are no longer this, but you're that. As bad as you want to be, I can't even call you Saul no more.
Come on, man.
I'm going to call you the Apostle Paul.
You
used to tear the church up. Now I'm going to have you blessing God's people.
And build it.
I'm going to stop because I'm going to get too preachy. Y'all.
It's true, though.
God's got to do it. He's the only one that ultimately he's the only one who can tell us who we are. Mm. He's the only one that can tell us who we are. Don't let people put you in a box. People always, if you meet people at one stage in your life, it's different from when you met them in another stage. I can say for me, I wear many hats. Some people met the comedian. Some people met the DJ. Mm-hmm. Some people met the preacher. I'm still all rolled up because of God.
Mm.
You know, so you're gonna get a little bit of this, you're gonna get a little bit of that, but it's all gonna point back to him.
Mm.
You know, if I'm preaching, I'm talking about him. If I'm DJing, it's gonna be a message in the music.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sneak it in there. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm on stage telling jokes to people, I'm encouraging them. It's gonna be biblical.
Mm.
You know, you might not even know it's coming, but you getting it.
Mm.
You know,
You gonna get that work. That's what you say.
You gonna get it. For a lot of times, this is just me. A lot of times you won't even know it's Elder Lee Wright. When you meet me, it's gonna be Lee Wright.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to get caught up in the title.
Mm. You know, one thing that's funny though is like you can know who you are, right? And other people won't know who you are. And so they'll treat you like they see you. You see what I'm saying? So we always have to treat people like they act. We just talking about identity, okay? I'm thinking about where Christ asked, who do men say that I am? Right? He knew who he was. He knew he was the Christ, right? And then he says, well, who do people say I am? They say Jeremiah, Elias, one of the prophets. And that's how people treated him. They like, hey, we just gonna get with him and get some fish, get some loaves, get our bodies healed. And then he said, but Peter, who do you say I am? He said, you're the Christ, the Son of the living God. He said, you know, flesh and blood didn't show you that, but my Father. And upon this rock, this truth that you just declared, I'm going to build a whole kingdom of God on it. And when we know who we are, people will sometimes come to us in ways that they don't understand. Like when I talk to people, if they come to me and they say, what's up, Pastor Frank? I treat them like I'm their pastor. If they come to me and be like, what up, bruh? I'll be like, I treat them like they're my bruh. When I go back home and they be like, what up? And whatever they put behind it, that's what I give them. Because I'm not going to make you understand who I am. I'm not going to correct you. I'm not going to change you. I'm not going to say I'm this and I'm that. I don't do that. I just say, I know who I am. That's enough. I'm going to carry myself that way. If you don't see what I think I'm projecting, and maybe I'm not projecting clear to you, or maybe you're not seeing clear, but either way, we're going to act just like we need to act until we get where we need to get.
Right.
That's good, Pastor.
You feel me? But all that is about identity crisis. And when you have an identity crisis, you'll start trying to demand that people see you how you see you. But it ain't going to happen.
Right.
They're going to treat you like they see you.
Right.
Some people say, Frank, cool guy, but he ain't my pastor. That ain't no problem. That means I ain't responsible for you.
That's right.
Hey, look, I learned responsible to, responsible for.
Yes.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you ain't responsible to, I ain't responsible for.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like Yolanda, if Yolanda see me as a husband, I'm going to be a husband to her. If she see me as just a dude, I'm going to be a dude to her. You see what I'm saying?
Well, it ain't gonna be just no dude, so you might as well
right. I agree. I'm just giving an analogy, young lady.
I know.
But I'm just saying, but have you ever noticed that you got to just treat people how they see you, because you want them to see you different sometimes, but God don't let them see you that way.
That's true.
You see what I mean? And if he ain't letting them see you that way, it's for a purpose. It's for a reason.
Right.
You got to deal with what's there. Like if you playing ball, you got to take what the defense give you. You can't go force the shot and force the game. You got to let it come to you.
You're right.
Can I say something, Pastor? Because
come on, man. I know you ready.
I'm gonna try to I'm gonna tie this in, because when we go back to the beginning with Adam in the garden, and when Adam had took of the fruit, and then he blamed Eve. That was the first thing, which is incorrect. You should have blamed yourself, man. Okay. But then when God came to them, he said, where art thou? Now God asking him where he at. God already knew, but he wanted Adam to realize where he was. And so, God sometimes checks us, so we do heart checks. I heard Pastor, you said that the other night when we were talking, doing a heart check, You know, God sometimes has to do a heart check with us so that we know where we are. And I feel like I got to say this because sometimes our ladies out there that have these men in their lives that sometimes you just can't get them to do right, and you trying to figure out what it is, and you going to this person, you going to that person, you praying, and you can't figure out what it is that he just won't act right. I have a challenge for the ladies. See, because as men need to be challenged.
Come on now. Come on. You speaking our language now. Come on, Elder.
It's something innate in men. We need a challenge. And so to all of those wives out there, you know, I'm going to tell you this. Challenge your husband. Challenge him. Not in a way that you might think. Challenge your husband by telling him, babe, would you pray for me?
Boy, you better preach.
Will you pray for me? Watch what happens. Watch what happens when it's one thing, y'all know. Come on, ladies, y'all can say stuff to a man that have us going loopty. Challenge your husband, babe. Would you pray for me? And watch real change happen. Because see, when you ask him to pray, one or two things gonna happen. Either he's really gonna run the opposite direction, or he's gonna try to line up. And once he tries to line up, then he's gonna start seeking. Either gonna seek God directly, or he might go find his pastor who he hadn't talked to since he was 10, and say, Pastor, can you teach me how to pray for my wife?
Mm-hmm.
And then watch your relationship grow. Because you've challenged him in a way that he may not be used to. And so you're going to get a different reaction than what you've been accustomed to getting.
Look at you.
There it is.
Look at you, Elder Lee. Look at you.
I'm telling you, look now. We ain't about to go to church. Y'all come to Epic Fellowship Church on Sunday and you can get some more. Well, look, this has been really good. And I thank both of you. Since we're nearing the end of the show, I just want to say thank you. But I do want both of you to share. If somebody has lost their identity, I know we talked about the word and you gave some good viewpoints. But if somebody's watching right now and they feel like, you know what, I don't know who I am. I don't know what to do. You know, I've tried this, I've tried that. This person told me I should be this. This person told me I should be that. What would you say to that person right now who needs to know who they are?
I would say it's right in front of you. It's seeing how you built. It's saying, if you go look in the mirror, God is talking to you. Things you like, things you dislike, all talking to you. If you really want to be what God has called you to be, then those things that flutter your heart and come to your mind, let it go. Let it loose. Be everything that's in your heart. Like, for instance, in the Bible, there was a guy that a king wanted him to wear a certain type of gear to go fight Goliath. And he was like, I ain't comfortable with that. Let me get that back to you. That's good for you. That ain't good for me. Just give me my slingshot. I'm good. I'll handle him. I learned who I was while I was shepherding people and taking care of lions and tigers and bears. You feel me? And I think people need to figure out, and be like, if you like certain colors, wear your colors. You like your hairstyle a certain way, wear your hairstyle a certain way. If you think a certain way, just be cool with how you think. The thing about us is we get accustomed to us. We get accustomed to how we think and how we sound that we don't put no value on it. But other people will put value on it. If you just do what it is you do and be who you are, other people will see the value in it. But we get so used to being around ourselves, we get complacent with ourselves. And we start saying, you ever heard people say, I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I sound. Ooh, don't put the camera on me because you done got complacent with the uniqueness of who you are. But God done laid that identity right there with you. I don't care how Dr. Jerry try to hide it. It is evident when I look at her that she is biracial. She got some Negro and some Filipino in her. And it's just who she is. And she ain't gonna be able to get away from it. And she gonna be able to talk to people of color and people of Filipino descent. And because of who she is, people embrace her and love her of all hues. That's how God made her. She ain't no need for her to run and try to say, I just want to talk to all black folks. God ain't gonna let her. I just want to talk to all Filipino. God ain't gonna let her. He ain't built her that way. That ain't her identity. And as soon as she embraced that, she sees great things happen in her life. It's the same with us. Embrace who you are. Be who you are, man. Just, it's good. God made you the way you are. It's good. If you slew-footed, it's good. If you bow-legged, it's good. You feel me? Just be who you are. If you got hazel eyes, you good. You got them brown ones like me, them special ones, you good. It's okay. Rock with it.
That's hard to come behind, Pastor, right there. But for those that are out there that are tuning in, like, if I were to tell you one thing, in order to start finding out who you are, is simply seek God. Activate your prayer life, which is the communication between you and God. True. And he gave us a blueprint with the Lord's Prayer, but you ain't got to be deep and wonderful. You ain't got to be all of these and the thous and the, oh, Heavenly Father of the Most High, ruler of the world. Sometimes you just say, God, can we talk? And that's how it starts.
It's real.
Be real. Be real with him.
That's
he already
good.
Knows.
That's good.
He waiting on
well, I thank both of y'all for rocking out with me tonight on the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show. Everyone who's just now tuning in, if you're just tuning in, be sure to go back and watch the replay. Pastor Frank Henderson and Elder Wright has shared some knowledge. They dropped some nuggets. They shared their heart. And they even shared how you can find your identity on this show tonight. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Pastor Henderson and Elder Lee, before we jump off the show, can you please share with everyone that's watching how they can connect with you and how they can reach out to you? And if you have anything coming up, let us know that too.
My man, go right ahead.
All right, Pastor. I can be reached at my website, www.iamleeawright.com. You can find me there. Reach out, holler at your boy. If you want to talk about some stuff that you might have heard, you got questions. Look, I tell people, at this point in my life, I'm an open book. You got questions, we're gonna see if we can work it out together. So I got a book coming out, great anthology with some wonderful authors. It's actually called My Walk Past Hell, Volume 2, The Men. We're gonna have it's gonna be life-changing, life-changing. We got men that decided to come out and share their story, share their truth in order to be able to help other people find theirs. It's gonna be truly awesome.
Wow. Incredible. And you can find me at epicfc.org, Epic Fellowship Church. You can find me there, and also frankhendersonfinancial.com by day. I am an insurance investment guy, IRAs, all that good stuff you need. And also I want to say something, man. Let's call these guys out, man, because they don't expect this, man. You got John Windsor,
yes,
Carl Jones, E. Jones Sr., Fabian Cardona. Did I get that right? I'm doing this off the head. If I forget somebody, you got comedian C. Rashad.
Dorsey.
What now?
C. Rashad Dorsey. The funny man himself.
Mr. Yes, sir.
That's right.
We got Marcus Williams.
Yes.
And we got who am I forgetting? We got
how many? 1, 2. I
got my spiritual dad.
William C. Scott.
Scotty.
Yep. Pop. And then who else we got?
Alfred.
Alfred Wells. Yep. Alfred Wells. And then I want to make sure that we get
Pastor
everybody.
Frank Henderson doing the
Oh,
forward.
yeah, I'm doing a little forward author, you know. I'm not getting into all my story, but I get to throw these guys a nice little alley-oop. I think it's powerful when men talk. And I'm excited about it because January, the book is coming out. You guys can go to hiswalkpasthell.com. But I think this book is going to be incredible because, you know, I grew up at a time where I didn't have a male voice in my life until I was 15 or 16. My granddaddy was quiet. He would give us a quarter, but he was quiet. As far as like, I don't know. I didn't hang around my granddaddy for whatever reason. My brother did, but I didn't. And so, you know, that quietness, you know, a lot of stuff keep going on because, you know, they're not putting that testosterone in the air. And so I think this is going to be really, really, really good. And I thank God for Dr. J having the heart. You know, she did it with the women. They went out, became bestsellers. You know, they all walking around with their ears sticking out the side of their car on the left and the right, get their head so big because they bestsellers and everything. But we coming. We are coming, and we gonna need y'all help.
Yeah.
We gonna be best-selling authors too, and I'm gonna tell it everywhere I go. But I think this book is gonna be absolutely incredible to hear these stories. I heard Fabian say something the other day, and it rocked my world. He talked about invisible wounds, and I think if you don't get the book for nothing but that, it's gonna bless your life.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know these other guys are gonna tell this story. I get to read them just like when you get to read them. I don't have a preview. I don't have a special way to say, hey, check this out. But I'm looking forward to grabbing this book myself. Hiswalkpasthell.com. Are they pre-ordering now, Dr. J?
They'll be available for pre-order soon. Just go to a website. And also make sure that if you're watching and tuning into the show, make sure you go follow every last one of these men authors.
Yeah.
You know, I want to encourage you we must support these men. They're always supporting us women. We need to make sure that we're reciprocating the same thing and supporting these men. And they are going to be #1 bestsellers because guess what? The women going to make sure it happens.
and let me say this. When we become a #1 bestseller, I'm going on TikTok and I'm going to do some kind of crazy dance. And y'all gonna see your boy cut loose, and y'all gonna be like, I ain't know he can rock like that. I'm gonna show you what I can do when we become a bestseller. Y'all help me get my boogie on, all right? So again, thank you, Dr. J, for that right there. And for you guys, hey, I love your support at Epic Fellowship Church. We're trying to launch in March of 2022. So you can go to epicfc.org/give. We'd appreciate it. We'll make sure you're taken care of. It's a tax-deductible donations, and we love you.
All right. Well, thank y'all for rocking out with me. Thank you all for tuning in and watching the Dr. Yolanda Jerry Show. As always, the show happens every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you invite someone, tell someone about it, because we are always talking about how people who have dealt with trauma have overcome and how they're doing great things in their life. So again, if nobody has told you that they love you, know that I love you. And most of all, God loves you. Take care, and we'll see you again next week.
Peace.